Hi there and welcome. My name is Michael Kentenich and I'm a Microsoft Technical Trainer. In this video, I will show you how to unlock the power of Azure App Service, where scalability meets simplicity. Meet Ola, an IT manager at a multinational e-commerce company. Their online platform experiences some unpredictable spikes in traffic during major sales events. Ola's challenge is that during product launches, their website struggles to keep up with the flood of shoppers. Traditional service cannot handle the stress. So Ola migrates their web app to Azure App Service. With auto-scaling, the platform dynamically adjusts resources based on demand. No more frantic calls to the IT team at 4 in the morning. As the next day of the big product launch hits, Azure App Service seamlessly scales out, ensuring smooth transactions, and the shoppers enjoy a glitch-free experience, leading the company to achieve record-breaking sales. And Ola's team now spends less time firefighting server issues and has more time enhancing user experience. They roll out new features faster, staying ahead of the competition. In this video, we look at the two objectives to describe what Azure App Service can do for you and also how to deploy apps to App Service using Azure CLI commands. Azure App Service is a PaaS offering, a platform as a service offering, that hosts web applications, REST APIs, and mobile backends using HTTP, HTTPS. You can use the language you prefer, such as ASP.NET, Java, Node.js, PHP, or Python. Applications run and scale easily on either Windows or Linux-based environments. With App Service, your application gets the benefits of Microsoft Azure, such as security, load balancing, auto-scaling, and automated management. Imagine spinning up a fully functional web app just in minutes, not in days. Azure App Service lets you focus on your code, not the server configurations. Say goodbye to patching servers and managing infrastructure. Azure App Service handles operating system updates, security patches, and maintenance tasks, allowing your team to focus on innovation. Additionally, you can take advantage of its DevOps capabilities, such as continuous deployment from Azure DevOps, GitHub, Docker Hub, and other sources. You can use package management, staging environments, build in your own custom domains, and use TLS SSL certificates to secure the communication. When your app faces sudden surge in traffic, think product launches or a viral marketing campaign, then Azure App Service can automatically scale up to handle the load. No manual interaction required. Let me explain on the whiteboard the relationship between an app service plan and an app service. If I want to host an app service on Azure, then I need to have an app service plan first. The app service plan has to be first there because it determines what kind of resources I have available for the app services running on top of it. That's the CPU, the memory, and depending on the pricing tier or the stock keeping units, I have different features available. Features like, for example, autoscale are not available for shared and basic. You have them just for standard and premium. With standard and premium, you get deployment slots or integrated backup functionality. Another characteristic is what operating system are the virtual machine instances running on. That is independent from the plan, sort of. There's one exception. I will talk to that a bit later. But with the operating system, we have these choices between Linux and Windows. An app service plan is made out of different instances of virtual machines. What I'm explaining now is the so-called dedicated plan. Or to be more precise, the dedicated compute plan. For dedicated compute, I need to have basic, standard, or premium. The shared one is a special case, and I will talk about that later. Now, when I have an app service running on that app service plan, what it means to have dedicated compute is that my application is running on all these instances that are made available for the app service plan. A question that I have always get asked is, can I run 2 app services on a single app service plan? And yes, you can. If you have more, you can have as many, not really as many as you want, because one, there are limits how many app service you can put on an app service plan based on the pricing tier. But second, the real limitation in real life is that the resources are shared. So if your applications are running on the same app service plan, they have to share all the resources. So yes, you can have them running on the instances, but they share features and the resources all among them. Now there's a different tier that I'm going to explain now, and that is the shared plan, which is also more precisely the shared compute. And you can probably guess what that means, because in this plan you don't have multiple instances of virtual machines available, but actually only one. And that one virtual machine is shared with other app services, either of your own company or even other customers. Of course, they cannot see each other. It's an isolated environment, but the resources are shared with different app services for that same instance. Typically, that is the reason why you will most of the time see a shared compute plan in a dev and test environment where you just want to test out a few things. That one limitation I was referring to earlier is that shared compute, or the shared plan, is currently only available for Windows, not for Linux. Now, can we run 2 app services on a shared compute plan? And yes, we can. But again, think about the limitation that I just explained. So yes, it can run on the same plan, but it also will run only on one instance together with the other app services. So you have to really consider if that is the use case you want to have. So there's a third option, the ASE, or the isolated plan, which is specifically interesting for scenarios where you need high performance, security, and fully isolated environments. So what does ASE stand for? ASE stands for App Service Environment. And now I will copy what we have talked about with dedicated compute, because it is very similar, but there are some differences. So let's talk about this. I will copy this over so I don't have to redraw all this. Now with ASE, we still have dedicated compute. And all the things I have talked about so far apply here as well. But on top, it has dedicated network. What that means is when you deploy such an app service plan as an ASE, you pick a specific virtual network on Azure where you deploy this environment into. And this is to make that app service environment available for all the resources in exactly that one network. And that is the reason why this is then going together under that name isolated. So we have both compute and network dedicated for this environment, and we call that therefore an isolated environment. So the biggest distinction here is just the networking part, but also there are higher limits in terms of throughput and storage options that are applying to this ASE environment as well. For details, you can figure them out on Microsoft Learn for full comparison. Different development teams have different needs for their deployment pipelines. App Service allows both manual and automated deployment. Your code repository is hosted on Azure DevOps, GitHub, or Bitbucket. Integrate the source using the deployment center and have your latest code automatically deployed when changes are made to a specific branch. Do you want to use command line deployment? Sure, not a problem with Azure App Service. Do you want to test your latest version first on Azure before it goes into production? Use deployment slots and let your teams test everything before you swap the slot to production. Now it's time to showcase the creation and configuration of an app service plan and app service. In this video, I'm going to show you how to deploy an existing application to an app service on Azure. To start with this, we need to have an app service plan, either already an existing one or we create a new one. I want to create a new one that I will go through this with you right now. And although we saw the icon we see here in the recent service already, if you don't see this right away, you can just look for it. So look for app service, look for app service plans. It will show up in this list here. So let's pick this. I have already one, but I'm going to create a new one. So let's create a new one. We'll use the same subscription, and I will also use a new resource group. So Contours is the company that I'm working for right now. So I will say this goes into the resource group Contours app, which gives me a single unit of management. So all my resources belonging to that app go into the same resource group. For the app service plan itself, I will then give it a name that reflects the Azure naming convention. Or the best practice, the recommendation of this. It's not mandatory to name resource like this, but it will give you a good sense of what is this used for. So it will reflect in the name already what type of service is it, the company or the area that it is used for, the purpose, what is this used for, and then the region. I will keep it in East-US, but my application, since I already have it and I know this, needs Windows as the underlying operating system. If I switch this to Windows, then all the virtual machine instances of that app service plan will run a Windows operating system. So I will select operating system. Then the next thing is, I don't know exactly yet how much power, how much CPU, how much memory my app service needs. And it's a very simple app for now, so I will go and use the free option. This is really something just for dev and test purposes, as we talked about, and this is, you can change this at any point in time later. So just go with free right now. It has limited features, but I don't need any of those advanced features. And if I do, I can upgrade this at any point in time. So now I'll leave it like that. I don't need any text for now. Let's check if I did everything right. Azure Resource Manager will tell me if I provided anything weird. I did not, so let's just go ahead and create the app service plan. Now with the app service plan in place, the next thing I need to do is I need to create an app service where my code can run on, because you could see I did not have any way of providing that kind of information right now. We can see here that there are no apps running on this app service plan right now. And if I just go here and check, no, there's nothing, because I just created this as a new app service plan. So I will go to the search bar again, look for app service. This time I'm looking for app services. I will click this. Again, I have already one, but I will create a new one with a nicer name. So let's create a web app that is a specific type of app service. I will put it into the same Contoso app resource group that we have created before. And as a name, I will now use the company name and just referencing this as a unique app name. Luckily, that is a name that is not that complicated and is available, because you can see here it is using a specific Azure Websites.net domain, meaning it needs to be globally unique. Of course, you can also reflect your own custom domains at a later point. You don't have to use Azure Website for this. I have code, not a container image that I want to use in here, so I will leave this. And the stack, the runtime stack that I need is ASP.NET version 4.8 right now. There's a longer list of different options depending on what kind of framework or language you use. For me right now, as I have an existing one, I will start with ASP.NET. Now by selecting the Windows and so saying that my app needs Windows, and also that the region should be East US. It's already seeing that here we have an existing app service plan. So it finds a Windows plan in East US and it is recommending this to me. That's the one that we just created. If I want to have this placed on a different app service plan, that works too. So no problem at all. Oh no, it took some time. Oh wait, what happened here? Why did it remove this? I'm not sure. So let's just add it again. Okay, so all looks good. I don't need a database. So I could, if that's a web app, most of the time we would need a kind of database, but let's say for now I don't need this. There are a couple of other options like networking. Do I want public access? Yes, I want this. And because I have not picked any of those, I have picked free, which doesn't have that network injection feature. So a couple of things I cannot select right now since it is the free option. I don't need application insights yet. So just to make things a bit quicker, let's just leave it like that. I will review this and looks good. So let's create the app service as well. Okay, my app service is done. So what I want to do now, first of all, I will show you what happens if I browse now this domain that I just have used here. So I can use this browse button on top of this web app configuration page, and it will show me that there is already response and it's just a placeholder. So it's a nice website that gives me information. Oh yeah, it's running and waiting for content. So now I can use either the deployment center or some quick start to develop something locally and then deploy it to my app service. I want indeed to use the deployment center right now. And this is where I'm going back to the Azure portal. Deployment center is on here. So on the web app, I find that. And in the deployment center, I have multiple options to now point it to the source or a build provider where my code resides. Or if I want to use this for CI/CD, continuous integration, continuous deployment, then I can pick either GitHub or Bitbucket or Azure Repos, other options. So in this scenario, I would like to use a manual push, meaning I would like to enable a Git server on my web apps where when I click this, it will give me a message saying, oh, you can't do this because there's no basic authentication enabled for source control management. So I need to do this first. So the nice thing here is it gives me just this link. So I can click this red bar. It will get me to the configuration of the web app. Now I need to look for the correct setting here, and that is the SCM basic authentication that it's told me to enable, which I will do. Once I change any of these settings here, I need to save this. And then the app may be restarted based on what the settings were that you changed. So that looks good. So far, I have enabled this. And now I will go and it asks me for this external Git, it asks me where is this repository stored. So I have already one, or it's not mine, but we will use this for this demo purpose. So I have a GitHub page. Here's a public repo with just a very simple HTML website, a hello world example. I will just go ahead, copy this link, and I need to understand that this is in the master branch, because this is the information I need to provide. So I will copy this over the Git link, and then I need to tell it that we are using master. It's a public repository, and that's all it needs to know right now. So I save this again. Now it does set up everything in the app service to get the information pulled down to the now integrated Git server on that web app. And I can check in the logs what's the actual state of this. So it will take a minute or two. But actually, oh, it's already done. So I can see here that it just tried to pull this and then also enable this. And it is providing me with success. I can even see that it has done some changes, and that brings me to further logs. But now if I go ahead and refresh this, I should see that that has changed. So yeah, I see here my sample static HTML site, and this is the site that I deployed just now from GitHub. And that is how easy you can not only create an app service and have your managed web server running, but also how easy it is to get existing code into an app service. In this video, you get to know the key components of Azure App Service and how it can help you create, maintain, and deploy web apps more efficiently. Azure App Service empowers your team to build robust applications without losing sleep over infrastructure disasters. So whether you are optimizing supply chains or revolutionizing customer experiences, Azure App Service has your back. Pick a project today and check how it can be boosted by App Service. Thanks for watching. Keep on learning.